Well, a very good Saturday evening to all our viewers and welcome to the weekend edition of Primetime News. We are coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news tonight, I am Joel Outskun. We start off today with a look at our headlines. International drug racketeer nabbed at Katunayake Airport with 5 kilograms of heroin. Previous document reveals that central bank is duty-bound to provide information to the Auditor General. IDPs in Vavuniya level charges against politicians. SM Marika expresses his views on David Cameron's example. Underground strike launched by Katagaha miners. UK credit rating outlook downgraded to negative. Starting off this evening with news from the President's Diary. A branch of the National Gem and Jewellery Authority was opened in Galle today under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena.
President Sirisena unveiled the commemorative plaque symbolically declaring open the Gem and Jewellery Authority branch on Havelock Road in Galle. The new office will provide services including gold weighing, issuing of certificates for gems and jewellery and valuation.
An international drug racketeer who was in possession of 5 kilograms of heroin was arrested at the Bandaranaike International Airport today. The stock of heroin that was seized amounts to more than 50 million rupees.
The suspect was identified as Roy Dadi Khan, who is allegedly involved in large-scale drug smuggling across Sri Lanka, Pakistan and Qatar. The suspect, who had travelled from Qatar to Colombo, had been concealing the contraband in his travelling bags at the time he was arrested. It has been revealed that this individual has been supplying narcotics to the 2 Maldivian citizens who were arrested in April while possessing 1.5 kilograms of heroin. The arrest made today has been the result of extensive monitoring carried out by the Police Narcotics Bureau based on information revealed through the arrest of the Maldivians. Meanwhile, the Police Narcotics Bureau carried out raids in the Havelock Road, Ballampitia and Grand Pass areas yesterday and the day before. 2.5 kilograms of heroin has been seized during those raids. The Police Narcotics Bureau has seized 7.5 kilograms of heroin in the last 3 days alone. 3 individuals who are connected to a drug racket centering clubs in the city of Colombo have been arrested along with 49 ecstasy pills and 200 LSD stamps. It is reported that one of the arrested individuals is a manager of a reputed apparel factory, while the second person was involved with a number of clubs in the city and was also a close affiliate of a defeated politician in the country.
Are your public representatives whom you elected working for you? Have campaign promises made to you been limited to just mere words? The Newsfirst Think Again public service initiative, which brings forth a renaissance in civic responsibility and giving the citizenry an opportunity to voice their frustrations, worked off in 3 districts today.
Think again. Is your vote working for you?
Day 9 of the Think Again National Public Service Initiative got underway in the districts of Matale, Munragala and Vavuniya, where Newsfirst teams visited numerous towns and villages. Politicians canvassing for votes in agrarian villages, including Pahalayagama in the Matale district, had made a myriad of promises to resolve issues faced by the public.
They lie and make false promises. I'm fed up with it.
Public representatives had promised on the campaign trail at the concluded election that a bridge would be built across the Malaoya to enable farmers to take their produce to the economic centre in Dambulla.
When they plan rallies, we clean up the entire area and welcome them with garlands. We welcome them with the hopes that they will do something for us. They say that they will build roads and anicuts. They promise that a bridge would be built, but nothing has been done to date. They will only return when they are contesting the next election. If they come asking votes this time, we will beat them and chase them out. There is nothing else we can do. They come during elections spouting promises that they will build these things within 3 months. Nothing has been done. We worked hard to get them elected on the back of that promise. Do not come back. We will not vote for you.
When they come here, people put up pandals and light firecrackers to welcome them. When they get the votes and are elected, we are left to fend for ourselves. They lie to us promising various things. Nothing has been given. They do not even recognize us.
They only come here during elections. They have done nothing for the Palayaya village.
The people of Vedigaswalana in Sigiriya Mathale have been under threat from wild elephant incursions for several years. While politicians had promised to repair this electric fence, which has been inoperational for 2 months, this task is yet to materialize.
උන්ට තාම සුපෝභෝගී වාහන හම්බ වෙලා නැහැ. අපේ පාරවල් එන්න බෑ අලිපු තියෙන වලවල් තියෙන්නේ. උන්ගේ වාහන ටික ගන්නකන් තමයි එන්න පරක්කු. වාහන ටික හම්බුනම් පස්සේ නම් එයිද කියලා කියන්න බෑ ඉතින්.
The team which visited Sidambapuram in Vaunia met a community that was ravaged by the war. For 18 years, 192 families have eked out an existence here amid many hardships. It was evident to us that their suffering is being used for opportunistic politics.
They
87 families displaced by the war are still residing at the Puntotam IDP camp. While these impoverished families have no proper shelter, on countless occasions politicians have promised lands and housing, promises that are yet to become a reality.
Selvam Adekkalanathan said houses would be built within 3 months. Nothing has transpired yet.
Many people who were settled in the Bogaswava area in Vaunia under the previous regime's resettlement program have also become victims of false political promises.
දැන් පාර හදන්නේ දූවිල්ල දරුවෙකුට පාසලට යන්නවත් හැටියක් නැහැ ඇඳුම් ටිකක් කිලුට වෙලා බොරුවට කියනවා විතරයි වැඩක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
The refurbishing of roads, a clean drinking water supply were among the many promises made to this community. Our team in the Monragala district visited several areas including Bibile, Yalkumbura, Madapitiya, Pitiyawatta, Aivela, Kotaboa and Godigamua. Villagers point out that promises to resolve the shortage of clean drinking water are yet to become a reality.
මේ ප්‍රදේශයේ ඉතින් මේ සංවර්ධන කටයුතු කරන්න තමයි කවුරු බාරගන්නේ කියන්නේ කරන්නේ. හැබැයි එකෙක්වත් කරපුවක් නැහැ හරියට බලාගන්න.
The Newsfirst Think Again public service initiative will be in operation tomorrow as well.
On to a story that made it to the headlines this evening. A special sitting of the Committee on Public Enterprises, or COPE, which is investigating the controversial bond issuances by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, will be held on the 29th of this month. While the Auditor General has also been summoned before COPE, it is broadly expected that the audit report on the bond issuances will be submitted on this day.
In response to a request in a letter penned in April this year by Chandra Jayaratna, a former chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, the Secretary of the Monetary Board had noted that he cannot disclose information on the bond issuances. When it was reported that even the COPE Committee in Parliament would not be made privy to this information, the Department of Government Information announced that the Auditor General could examine the information at the Central Bank. The Department of Government Information claimed that this step was taken in line with instructions from the Attorney General not to divulge sensitive information. However, when a similar request was made in 2004 by the then Auditor General, the advice of the Attorney General at the time was that the Central Bank is duty-bound to provide information for an audit. The Attorney General had noted then that all information needed for the audit, including reports, files and accounts, must be provided under the Article 154 of the Constitution and provisions in the Monetary Law Act.
There was a letter penned by the Attorney General when I was the Auditor General on the constraints of the Central Bank. There, the AG had clearly stated that there are no barriers for the Auditor General according to powers vested with him as per Article 154(5) of the Constitution and the Monetary Law Act. It also mentioned that the central bank is obliged to divulge all information and documents available. However, the Attorney General had also mentioned that in the event there is certain information at the central bank that is of sensitive nature, then they could address it following the advice of the Monetary Board of the central bank. I also recall the Attorney General mentioning in the letter that the central bank is accountable to Parliament and it comes under all the relevant laws and regulations.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister and Finance Minister had held a meeting with the Auditor General over the debate that arose in recent days after the Auditor General provided information on government debt.
As far as I'm aware, the calculations were not made by the Auditor General. Calculations on public debt are made by the Finance Ministry. The usual tradition is that the Auditor General discusses the figures with the Ministry of Finance prior to reporting it to Parliament, and I believe that the same procedure would have been followed here as well. I do not believe that the Auditor General would act arbitrarily with the intention of putting the government in a difficult position. The Auditor General's primary responsibility is to provide correct information to the legislature, that is Parliament, on the workings of the executive, that is the government and its institutions. If one member of the executive summons the Auditor General, that in itself is a breach of independence. Pressure cannot be exerted in this way. We say to the public that this is a situation that must be addressed. If the Auditor General is made to act according to the whims of various ministers and MPs, what will happen to public funds? A minority is stealing the nation's property. The only person to report this to Parliament is the Auditor General. If the Auditor General is disempowered, then these actions will continue unfettered. Theft has taken place in front of our eyes. Millions and billions of public funds have been misused. They have empowered the son-in-law's company to make abnormal profits. I have heard some say that the Prime Minister is Mr. Clean. Remember that the leaders do not become clean. Those around them become thieves. How can the leaders be clean when those who are around them are stealing? Who is that leader? Can such a leader be clean? When your friends are stealing through your government, it is the same as if you carried out the theft yourself. So we can no longer say that Ranil Wickremesinghe is Mr. Clean.
තමන් හොරකම් කරන එක හා සමානයි තමන්ගේ වටේ ඉන්න හොරකම් කරන එක. ඒ හින්දා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතාට මිස්ටර් ක්ලීන් කියන්න බෑ.
MP Rohita Abegunawardene, who suffered injuries during a protest organized by the joint opposition in Colombo yesterday, is continuing to receive treatment at a private hospital in Colombo.
Protest was organized yesterday against the governor of the central bank, the increase of VAT, the delay in holding local government elections and several other reasons. During the protest march, parliamentarians Rohita Abegunawardene and Sriyani Vijay Wickrama suffered injuries. MP Rohita Abegunawardene, who is continuing to receive treatment at an ICU of a private hospital in Colombo, had sustained injuries to his head as well as an internal injury in his mouth. According to doctors, the parliamentarian is not in a critical condition. Meanwhile, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived at the hospital where the parliamentarian is receiving treatment to look into his well-being.
A protest launched by miners of the Katagam mine in the Dodamga slum continues for a second day today.
The miners who are staging the protest 1,800 feet underground are demanding that their daily risk allowance be raised from 16 rupees to 400 rupees. The protesters state that even though they conveyed their grievances to the authorities in January, their requests have not been fulfilled.
None of the authorities have turned their attention to our problem as yet. We have already travelled from 1,132 feet underground to 1,800 feet to commence this hunger strike. If the apathy continues, we will go further underground to 2,000 feet and continue with the hunger strike.
When inquired, the administration of the Katagaha mine stated that a solution will be provided after engaging in discussions with the Labour Commissioner on Monday.
An individual suffered injuries after being shot at near a gambling floor being operated in close proximity to a funeral house in Naramula.
According to a high-ranking police officer, the shooting occurred when police arrived at the location based on a tip-off in pursuit of a suspect connected to a homicide. The police noted that the shooting occurred when an individual attempted to grab a revolver of a policeman.
We were playing cards. The people here were all neighbors. They came from behind, shouted that we were the police and beat us with poles. That is when I heard a gunshot. People started to run. 10 minutes later, police jeep sped away. When the people returned, we saw one of our friends had been injured.
The injured victim was admitted to the Dambatheniya hospital before being transferred to the Kurunegala hospital. According to the police, a special police team has commenced investigations into the incident.
In local news, still, the United National Party meeting was held in Kuliapitiya today.
New members of the UNP were presented with e-membership cards at the ceremony, which was held at the Kuliapitiya Municipal Hall under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Deputy Leader of the UNP, Sajid Premadasa, and General Secretary of the party, Kabir Hashim, were also present at the event. During the Mahinda Rajapaksa period, it was only his family members that reaped benefits. They built a port, but there are no ships. They built an airport, but only one plane arrives there. Isn't that right, Sajid? There will be more planes coming into the Mattala airport soon. There will be massive factories coming up in Hambantota and Monragala. Minister Sajid Premadasa has commenced building homes. Earlier, they built mansions for themselves. Today, we are giving everyone a small mansion. I said that there will be a Volkswagen factory established in the country. Work on the plant will begin in August or September.
Volkswagen Karmanta Shala idikirime වැඩ කටයුතු ආරම්භ කරනවා කියලා මම කියන්න.
The annual Poson Mahaperara of the Rangiri Rajamahavihara in Ambalansata paraded the streets last night.
The procession began after Minister Sajid Premadasa placed the casket bearing the sacred relics on top of the main tusker of the Perahera. The main aim of engaging in such events is to ensure that we protect and uplift the Buddha Sasana. As a government, it is our responsibility towards the country as well as the Buddha Sasana.
As stated on the headlines, UMP MP SM Marika says that it is the duty of all politicians to respect the public opinion.
The opinion of British Premier David Cameron was that the country should remain in the EU. However, a majority of people defeated that opinion. As a gentleman who respects democracy, he decided to announce his resignation from the position he held because he knew that there is no public mandate for him in the country anymore. He was decent enough to do so. In our country, when the opinion that a person holds is defeated, and when that person himself is defeated, they hold May-Day rallies on his behalf and announce that they will rise again with him. This is how they respect democracy in the United Kingdom, and this is how we destroy democracy here. The parliamentarian expressed these views at an event to distribute financial aid worth 10,000 rupees each to people who were affected by the floods in the Kolonnaba, Sedavatta and Kittampahua areas.
The 6th Professional and Career Women Awards organized by the Women in Management and the IFC, a member of the World Bank Group, was held in Colombo yesterday.
The award ceremony was held to celebrate the achievements of remarkable women who inspire others through their work. 50 women were presented with awards under 22 different categories.
We have adequate laws such as Penal Code, Prevention on Domestic Violence Act to deal with violence against women. Penalty is high for offences committed on violence. However, the law enforcement agencies are not sensitive enough to go deeper into the incidences of violence. This empowerment process contributes to reduce violence at the village level. We need to expand and strengthen our activities to reach out to all women of the country. My ministry cannot do it alone unless we get the support of the civil society organizations and the donors. We all have to be proactive to rid society of this ugly and deadly disease of violence against women and children. We cannot be silent anymore because, as King Martin Luther said, we will have to repent in this generation, not merely for the hateful words and deeds of the bad, but the appalling silence of the good people.
The inauguration ceremony of several postgraduate programs at the University of Colombo was held yesterday at the Faculty of Graduate Studies auditorium. Around 200 students participated at the event. The launch of the 4th Multidisciplinary Research Journal of the Faculty of Graduate Studies of the university was also held on the sidelines of the inauguration ceremony. Meanwhile, local communities are claiming that plans to build a section of the Southern Expressway from Mathura to Beliata across Upper Akathabagalu Reserve will cause serious environmental harm.
The expressway is being extended from Mathura to Beliata via the village of Kaluhenwala. Surveying for the construction had been completed and construction work has already commenced. Area residents claim that building the expressway across the Upper Akathabagalu Reserve will have a serious detrimental impact on the delicate balance of the ecosystem. The Thamagalu Reserve is home to scenic waterfalls, streams, many endangered and endemic species of flora and fauna, and the Thamagalla Aranya Senasanaya, a forest ashram. Area residents fear that excavation that has been undertaken on private lands to supply earth for the construction of the expressway will cause increased landslide activity in the area.
We will lose our water supply as well. It will become very difficult to live here. There is a possibility of landslides when it rains. A 40-foot hill has been excavated. We don't mind if the country is developed, but please protect our village. Environmentalists point out that while the expressway may be a necessity for development, it is also a necessity to mitigate the environmental damage caused by the project. This is a protected reserve with a very valuable biodiversity. Hundreds of endemic species of flora and fauna which are very important to the balance of Sri Lanka's ecosystem can be found here. They have completed surveying up to this area. The fact that many large trees in the area will be cut down to make way for the expressway means that serious environmental harm could be caused by this. Visitors to Anuradhapura today are greeted by familiar scenes from the post-Poson pilgrimage season. An estimate of how many pilgrims visited the holy city of Anuradhapura during the Poson season can be gauged through these images. The Anuradhapura Municipal Council earns a considerable income from the Poson pilgrimage. The revenue earned by the Municipal Council through the allocation of land for shops and dansals during the Poson pilgrimage season makes up a sizable portion of the Council's entire annual revenue. As a result of the apparent lethargy on the part of the Council in cleaning up the premises at the conclusion of the Poson pilgrimage season, communities living in the vicinity are directly and indirectly affected by the unhygienic conditions. Lands in the holy city that are under the purview of the Department of Archaeology have been a major source of income for the Municipal Council during the pilgrimage season for several years. As a result, during the pilgrimage season, the Department of Archaeology refrains from enforcing stringent laws which normally apply to archaeological sites. However, this year, the department, with the assistance of the police, sought to enforce certain rules and regulations when it came to light that plans were afoot to undertake constructions that go beyond the makeshift stalls for vendors and dansals. When persons who allocated stalls for shops and dansals on the path from the Ruan Valisaya to the Thuparamaya also commenced the construction of permanent toilets instead of portable or temporary toilets, the Department of Archaeology decided that it could no longer remain idle. However, the department was unable to prevent this aberration from taking place in the holy city since the Municipal Council had already permitted the vendors and dansal organizers to construct permanent toilets when it allocated plots of land for them. Accordingly, several deep toilet pits now dot the pathway between the iconic Ruan Valisaya and the Thuparamaya. People who claim to be embarking on the pilgrimage with pure hearts and minds must also accept some portion of the responsibility for this crime. However, given that the Municipal Council, which should have the capability to assess the needs of pilgrims during the Poson season, failed to even allocate a minute amount of the vast sums of money it earns from the pilgrimage to establish mobile or temporary toilets, the public were left with no alternative. The most serious mistake here is that the Department of Archaeology too has failed to enforce laws preventing unauthorized excavation on archaeological sites, enabling these unpleasant scenes. Shouldn't legal action be initiated against the Municipal Council to prevent the recurrence of such repugnant scenes? Director General of Archaeology, over to you.
With that piece of entertainment, we wrap up this edition of Primetime Weekend News. Thank you very much for stopping by. For the News team, I'm Joel Outskun, reminding you to have a safe and blessed evening.
Hotline 0114 896 896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at Newsfirst.lk.